Welcome to the Gaming Trend Podcast, the official podcast of GamingTrend.com. My name is Anthony Shelton, and I am joined by Mike Dunn.
Hello.
And I am also joined by Rob Berg.
Hello there.
And Ellis Zimmerman.
What's up?
The new guy to the podcast. Welcome. Usually in this podcast, we talk about the latest games that we were able to get our hands on, the games in our backlog that we should have played a long time ago, and the games you have to play. But our tabletop friends are back from GenCon, so it is another tabletop takeover. We're going to do a GenCon recap and talk about our best games, tabletop games that we experienced in GenCon. But first, before we get into that, guys, how was GenCon? How was it?
Well, from my perspective, it was the most successful con Gaming Trends ever had. We had a blast. We had a crew of 4, and we just kind of took over, man. It was great. Saw a lot more games than we usually see. Talked to a lot more people. Left with a trunkload of games. Rob, I still can't believe we actually you guys managed to fit everything in there. I was like, there's no way. We're gonna have to put it in my car. I don't have to drive it to Tennessee and fly ship the boxes back to you guys. Yeah, with the exception of just a few things that went with Ellis because he was headed down to Tennessee and we were going back to Colorado. But like we crammed that thing tight. Like Rob,
what is the car? I need a visual in my head. Which car?
Rob is like a Tetris master or something. I don't know what the hell. It was inspired. I was very impressed. Yeah, what were you guys driving?
Toyota Highlander.
Why I'm not thinking of this car off the top of my head. I'm gonna Google this car real quick.
It's an SUV. All the companies that have their like real big SUVs, it's the step down that still can have third row seating.
Oh yeah, this is like a mid-size SUV. Okay, yeah. Okay. Yep. So you put down the third row seats and just stuff in it.
Oh, yeah, it was probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 60 games. Actually, probably more than that because 65 games are what we got from publishers to bring back to review. We bought some. Yeah, we bought some too. It was pretty crazy. It was over 100.
Yeah, it was over 100.
So your car was a designated vehicle, Rob.
Yep. We not only was it the third row seating that was down, we put down half of the second row because there's 3 of us in the car, so we still needed one of the second row seats. But it was packed to.
Could you see out the rearview mirror?
No.
Oh wow! Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, no. It was completely blocked.
You couldn't see anything out of the rear view.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. As
nuts.
Crammed as it could be to still have the seats.
It was impressive. It was impressive. Like I would usually come home on a flight with 2 very meticulously weighed check-in luggage, suitcases. And there's no way like we would have needed like 6 of those things at least. It was ridiculous. But we brought back a ton of games and a ton of great games, and that is going to translate into a ton of great content for Gaming Trend.
So how did it feel being back? Because was this the first GenCon since the pandemic, or was this the second? So
this was the second, but the second. The one last year was a little later in the year. It was in September. And it was scaled down. It was, I think, 35,000 people, and this one was around 55, somewhere between 55 and 60,000.
35 still doesn't seem that scaled down, but yeah, I mean.
Yeah, well, I mean,
less.
The previous year before that, it was 70.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So still
just
quite not
cut it
up
right in
to-
half. Cut
Yeah.
it right in half, you know.
That makes sense.
Which it was pretty cool because, you know, we had a lot of big names that didn't show up that year. But we were able to talk to a bunch of smaller scale companies and game designers. But there were only 2 of us, and we were still busy nonstop. So this year we had 4, and we were busy, but we were
nonstop.
able. We went everywhere we wanted to go, pretty much, with
nice.
very few exceptions. Yeah.
That's always nice. I know the year I went to E3, it was like, dear Lord, I want to hit all these things and I can't because I'm only one person.
Right. Yeah, no, if my experience at E3 was just nonstop visual and audio stimulation. There's nothing. Like my memory is spotty because I think of all of the strobe effects, but
I believe it. All right. Well, we got, obviously you guys, you mentioned over 100 games in Rob's car, so we're not going to go over all those games. Instead, we are going to narrow down your collective top 5 games of GenCon that y'all experienced. So, y'all can go in any order that you want, however you want to do this. But let's talk about the top 5. Here, I'll give you one to start with to kick us off, and then y'all take it from here. Let's start with the one I was most interested in, Cat in the Box. Huh? Yeah.
Yes. Cat in the Box is definitely one of our top 5. I think all 3 of us bought our own copies of that game.
Yep.
Nice.
And I've played it a bunch of times since. And it's just a great filler game. It's super fun. Everybody who plays it enjoys the hell out of it, and it definitely deserves all the hype that it's been getting.
Yep.
It is. It's one of the few games that has like passed my like made me cry like from laughing so hard test. It's up there.
It's like made me cry. That's I was like, dang, that's a serious dedication to that one, Ellis.
All right.
No,
we talked about it a lot last one. So, but go ahead, Rob.
It was, man. Cat in the Box is one of those ones that, like we talked about in the last episode that we did for this, it was such a big priority to get a copy. I went day one, man. Day one, that was my first stop before we did anything else. I was not gonna walk away from the convention without a copy. One of my buddies that used to be part of our game group here in Colorado Springs, he was working that booth for that company. They brought 1,700 copies and sold every single one of them.
Yep. Yeah, it was a hot ticket for sure. And yeah, we actually we have a video up on the YouTube channel and an article on the website, a preview of we recorded a full demo. You can check it out on our YouTube channel or on the article.
I got my butt kicked.
Yeah. Ellis had his butt handed to him. He caused a temporal paradox and destroyed the world. So, you know, luckily we started another game, and that's why we're all here right now. But
the beauty of resets.
Yes, quantum physics. You know, it's no, but to kind of make sense of that ridiculous offhand joke, Cat in the Box is the theme of Cat in the Box is about Schrodinger's cat, which is the theory posited by Erwin Schrödinger that if you put a cat in a box for a specified amount of time, there's no way to look into the box, but during that amount of time, a poison pellet could or could not at any random point go off and kill the cat. So if you have a set amount of time, that means halfway through that set amount of time, the cat is both alive and dead at the same time, according to the math.
I still don't understand it, but
Yeah. No.
I'm also not that smart. So
I was like, he
there's
lost
that
me
too.
at math, so
Right. Exactly.
Now that I've played Cat in the Box a bunch of times and I understand it better, I think Cat in the Box is a better way of explaining Schrodinger's cat than Schrodinger's cat explains Cat in the Box.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
So it's an educational game.
Yeah, no, I agree. I totally agree.
All right. Is that an actual like legit theory?
Yes, it's my favorite quantum theory.
Fascinating.
I'm not being sarcastic.
So what happens if you leave a dog in a box? I'm just curious.
I mean, I don't know if Edwin or when Schrodinger was a dog guy. He was definitely a cat guy.
I believe that. I'm just saying, as a scientist, I feel like I would want to start trying these different things on different animals. What happens if you put a guinea pig in a box?
I think it's the same thing. It's just you're changing a variable.
what happens if you put Ellis in a box?
Do we want to find
who's
out?
Shorter between you two, Rob or Ellis? Rob must be, because he's laughing nervously. So what happens if you put Rob in a box?
Wow, you read that so good. That was impressive.
That was the most nervous laugh. All
I don't
right.
get nervous.
All right. So that's Cat in the Box. Probably the world knows about that one by now. All right. So what talk about another game in your top 5.
Shoot us another one.
Okay. I'll be the picker then. I like this. Sky Mines.
Good old Sky Mines, man.
Talk about Sky Mines.
Well, Sky Mines, we kind of touched on it a little bit in the previous episode. However, we got our hands on a copy. We weren't expecting to get it. Great. There's so much to dive into with Sky Mines. By Alexander Pfister and Pegasus Spiel. It's an action management Euro board game that it's got this cool aesthetic of being you're playing a corporation that's trying to control take control of outposts on the moon, asteroid belt, and you're trying to essentially invest in these corporations and make the most money on your investment. It's pretty sweet.
We've made it to the moon at this point. We're already there. We're doing stuff. We're building things. We're making money. Now you're just trying to control the assets that are already there.
And we did bring a copy of this game back with us, and we played it a couple of times. Rob is in the process of reviewing it. I've gotten to play it myself. It's very fun. I think that first play we kind of misinterpreted one of the rules, so I'm kind of eager to give it another go. Also, the board is double-sided. On one side you're mining the moon, and on the other you're mining asteroids. And I did the mining the moon side, and Rob said that the asteroid side is actually a little more fun.
A
little harder, but
so what's the difference?
So the moon side,
if you're able to talk about it, I don't know if you got embargo stuff, but
no embargo.
Okay.
The moon side, it's got it's all like, essentially think of like different Tetris shapes that make one board of the moon, and forms a circle on the board, and then all these different spaces are connected, and it's all in one space when you're looking at the board. And when you're placing company outposts, it's easier to kind of visualize and see. And there's simple costs to placing these outposts. Crossing a line into a new section costs you 1 energy. If you're kicking out another company that's already in that section, it costs you an extra energy on top of that 1. And so that the moon side is kind of simple in that way.
Everything's all grouped together in one big area, right? So all the places that you can claim to put mines and like build on are all connected with each other in this one big area of the moon. Whereas the asteroids, they're on separate. It's all kind of scattered all over the board.
And instead, you use shuttles to connect to the different asteroids where you place your outposts. And this time, though, going along the paths, not only does it cost energy to go into areas, but there's all the different paths that have extra energy costs on them on top of the regular energy costs. So energy management is a lot trickier and takes a lot more to figure out and actually be able to place all the different outposts and shuttles, like unlike the moon side. So it's a little trickier, it's a little harder, requires you to think a little more, but it's very good. It's satisfying thinker, like there's no I feel like there's almost no bad decision. It's just where you can get the most bang for your buck, essentially.
Okay. All right, that's Sky Mines. All right. Somebody mentioned before we started your top 5 Mistwind. Tell the people about Mistwind.
Yeah, I can talk about this one.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, so Mistwind, we saw it in its prototype version. It was still in the development process. And it's like a pickup and transport game featuring these awesome like flying whales. And you basically send these whales or like around the map and like drop like ports to collect resources. And it has a unique action selection where there's you have like 5 discs numbered 1 through 5, and at the start of each round you have to pick one of those numbers to get rid of, and you can't use that disc for that round. So you have to like kind of look at like if you get rid of your 4, then you got to like look at all of like the 4 actions and like say, okay, I don't want any of those. But it's really easy to like throw away something that actually you really needed. So it's unique, and it's the art is amazing. The 3D printed figurines he had were incredible. We were really excited about it.
Yeah, it was super cool. We all got to play that demo. I think we got some photos of it, but not video coverage. But like everything about the game was well, the miniatures seemed pretty far along in terms of design. The board and a lot of the cards were still fairly early prototype. Like probably the best equivalent would be like an alpha, like a later alpha version if you're using video game nomenclature. But it was super cool. I think Rob in particular was actually really excited about this one too.
Yeah, Mistwind for me really stood out. There's another game that people that they kind of like talked about it similarly. It's called Ticket to Ride, and it's got this route building mechanism where you want to go from one end of the board to another, and in Ticket to the Ride, you place trains and you take up the only paths that are available. So you could essentially block people from certain pathways, and then they have to figure out how to get there. And there's chances they aren't able to. Mistwind is the much friendlier version of that, but I feel like it requires a lot more strategy. There wasn't any blocking of paths. People could be in the same ports and same places with their whales, and then the little they had some like lighthouse building meeples as well, or not meeples, 3D printed figures as well. That those are what you leave behind as the ports to mark your paths that you're building across the board. And it's just a really cool take on the mechanism that I think kind of takes Ticket to Ride and advances it. It's it's Ticket to Ride if it has a final form.
Yeah. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, so like I was thinking, like Ticket to Ride, like that whole game, it's a fairly entry level game. It's a good game, but it's basically just around that one mechanic. You're creating routes across the map with your trains. This basically takes that mechanic and makes it maybe a quarter or a third of the game. It's a cornerstone of Mistwind, but it isn't the dominant feature of it. There's so much more going on. There's a lot more that kind of influences how you create those routes. And how you're able to complete those routes. And it's super cool. And I mean, flying whales is that I kind of dig that.
Yeah, I think it's going to make it could be an interesting stepping stone for the hobby, because Ticket to Ride is one of the most successful and best-selling board games like ever. And now, with a similar kind of game, people who've played Ticket to Ride, like, okay, now you're ready for the next step up. You're ready to make it a little bit more complicated, get a little bit deeper into board games, and you already like understand like kind of a core concept of the game, and just tack on a little bit more.
Yeah. Do you think the people who played Ticket to Ride, majority of them still play board games and tabletop and whatnot, or it's kind of Mistwind is kind of still for like the dedicated?
I mean, there's still people playing Monopoly. No.
Yep. No, I think people still play Ticket to Ride and have used Ticket to Ride as a way to segue into other games in the hobby.
Yeah.
However, I think Ticket to Ride is still a love of a lot of people out there.
Yes.
They're constantly coming out with new versions of it. But it's not a Ticket to Ride's fantastic. It's built on the one mechanism.
Yeah.
Mistwind with that
it does one thing, it does that one thing so good.
Right. And Mistwind with that mechanism lays the groundwork to add in the extra to make it different and set it apart.
Yeah, for sure.
And it has the potential to be a huge hit.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's going to be beautiful when it's finished. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Age of Comics is also in your top 5. Oh, Mike shot up on that one. Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Go for it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, so Age of Comics was one that I was really hoping to see. It's the designers of the game are based out of Italy, and they couldn't make it to GenCon. So they sent a copy to the I think it's the Indie Games League, which is an independent organization that helps elevate independent game designers and developers in tabletop. And this was one of the I think the big draws they had at their table this year, and it was one that I had actually reached out to the designers to see if we could get a look at it. And I'm really glad we did, because it looks great. It's basically, the theme is you are each player is a publisher, a comic book publisher in the, I believe, 40s, the golden age of comics. Could be 30s and 40s. So it takes place primarily in Manhattan, and you've got, each player is kind of racing to get like a writer there, to hire a writer and an artist and an inker to work on a comic book and make it like the first of a new genre, to kind of help them go up these certain tracks, which like one of the tracks I believe is Fans. And just basically kind of an in-game point scoring thing, where like the more you kind of upgrade your writers and artists, and the more new genre comics you can come out with, the more likely you're going to win the game. I think probably the most clever mechanic that we saw was if someone else beats you to like a new genre of comic, like a horror comic, for instance, then you can also come out with knockoff comics, which are the same genre, but it's like instead of it lives, it crawls. It's the same kind of thing. You get less points, you get less fans, but you can kind of capitalize on the wave that happens, and that is very thematically accurate because that's what happened back then. Everybody copied the hell out of each other, and I mean, to a level that would probably force litigation if it happened in the present day, right? But it's super cool. Just great table presence. Really leans heavily into kind of the comic art style of the era, and I'm a big comic nerd, so it's definitely been on my radar ever since I heard about it. That is also hitting Kickstarter in a couple of weeks.
Nice.
Yeah, that's sweet. Okay.
Yeah, super excited about that one.
Yeah, and those rip-offs.
I will be backing it day one. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Ellis.
Yeah, I was just gonna mention those rip-offs that he was talking about. That each like comic in that game has like its own like teeny little like tile that is like the cover page of that comic, and then the rip-offs are like the same of like what they're ripping off, but they're like discolored and there's like little details that are wrong with it. It's hilarious.
That's funny.
Yeah, just very cleverly designed, and love the mechanics. It doesn't look like it's really. I wouldn't say it's breaking new ground on mechanics wise, but I haven't seen anything in this theme, and I think it's gonna do it really well. It looks great.
Yeah, that's a unique find. That was a good one. All right, last one in our top 5, but not necessarily number 1, but maybe, who knows? Harrow County.
Yes. So Ellis actually played this one. He can speak to it.
Oh, okay. Nice.
I played an earlier version of it. Actually, no, this was the one that I was going to say was my number 1 pick. So you beat me there. So I'll pick something else.
All right.
Well. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So I believe you guys talked about Harrow County on the last episode of this, right?
We did. That's the one with the box with a hole in it. It looked like in a tree. Is that it?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
Got a good memory. All right. I hadn't even watched it beforehand, so that was off the top of my head.
It's based off the Harrow County comic from the same guys who made Mind Management, based off of the Mind Management comic. And
off the page games.
Off the page games, that's right.
Yep.
And it's a 1 versus 1, like kind of strategic dueling game with this weird potential for a third party to enter in, but we didn't mess with that during our demo. It's asymmetric, so each side has like a different like goal that they achieve to score points, and it's the first to 7 that wins. And there's like 3 major ways of getting points. One faction is like the family of witches that's trying to destroy Harrow County, and they place down storms to destroy some of the buildings. In each building they destroy is like 2 points. And then the other side has like haints that they control and to like go out and rescue people of Harrow County and prevent it from getting destroyed. And then each like townsfolk that they rescue, that's 2 points for them. And then there's it's a little bit of like territory control too. So the little center tile is like if anyone has one of their haints on that center tile, that's a point at the end of the round. And then the third way of getting points is by killing one of your opponent's haints in combat by dropping the cubes into the box. And it's really interesting. It's really tight with only 7 points. The game I played was really, really close. It like we were both at one point I think at like 6 points, and with like 3 different ways of getting points, we were like three different ways of like almost reaching victory. So it was a really tense like 2-player experience. And it might be like one of the best like 2-player games I've played.
Can you switch factions like per round? Is like how does that work?
So you pick a faction at the start of the game, and I'm not sure if they have like other factions that you could play as in the full set, or
yes.
do you know any more about that, Mike?
I do. So there are 3 factions you can choose from. One is the village friendly one, which is revolves around the main character of the comic. I believe her name is Emma. I'm spacing on it just at the moment.
It is Emma.
But yeah, that's what I thought. And so like her play style is like she's trying to help the villagers because there's villagers on the board. And then there's the family, and they're trying to like kind of populate the area with these storms, which they're just basically trying to destroy Harrow County. And then there's a third faction, which is Emma's twin sister, who was also born from the tree. And she wants to control Harrow County. So all of her abilities center around controlling the haints of the area and kind of seizing, basically going towards a victory condition in that fashion.
So it's like your points are gathered per like. So
there's I believe there's going to be narratives associated with each scenario depending on who's facing off against who. And then there's a final narrative that brings in Hester the witch, which is the character that was hung in the tree and who they thought Emma was the rebirth of. But she doesn't actually have like any pieces on the board, so she takes her turns. That player takes their turns by taking control of the other 2 players. This is the 3-player option that Ellis was talking about, and basically using the other 2 players' pieces on the board on her own turn. And the goal for her is to bring all the haints together and destroy the haints so that she can create a new body for herself. So again, very thematically accurate to the comic. We've got probably the most in-depth video about the game, the rules, teach, and an actual demo of the game that Ellis played up on our YouTube channel, and Ellis also did a wonderful write-up that's up on the website. This game is coming to Kickstarter real soon, and we'll probably be covering it a lot more going forward.
Yeah, that sounds interesting.
Yeah, it's super cool. Like I don't think I've really seen a game like this 2-player with the option of like adding a 3rd player. Like that's pretty unique. Like that's not something you see too much of.
All right. Now, I'm going to do something that I didn't prepare you for, and I did this on purpose.
Uh-oh.
I want you to rank each of these 5 to 1. Go ahead. Debate. I want all of it. We got Sky Mines. We got Mistwind. We got Cat in the Box. We got Age of Comics. We got Harrow County. Rob is staring down, smiling at himself because he's like, kind of can of worms did you just open?
I think we're gonna have 3 different answers, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think Harrow County has got to be in the top 1 or 2.
I agree with that. For me personally, Harrow County and Age of Comics are probably the top 2.
Rob, you're just sitting there. What's your top 1 or 2?
I mean, for me, Sky Mines is up there, man, and Mistwind is up there. Those are.
Oh, we got completely different lists going on.
Yeah.
See, You know, and like we kind of held some of our absolute favorites back from that list too. So
I'm just talking about the top 5 here because this is
I know.
These are games all of you got to play for the most part, at least that were available. So for I think Age of Comics, that was an outlier, but it was so good that you know it had to be on this list. But for the most part, I mean,
we got a demo, but we didn't get to play it. But we got a pretty good demo of it.
Right. So, with all of these, minus your personal favorites from GenCon, this is a pretty dang good list from what I'm hearing. So But I will say this: it sounds like Cat in the Box is probably number 5. I'm a little disappointed.
No.
Even if it's number 5, let's say worst comes to worst. Even if it's number 5, okay. This list of games, these 5, are some of the best out of hundreds and thousands of games. At GenCon, like being number 5, there's nothing to scoff at.
Oh, no, I'm not saying that.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the little.
Honestly, that was just a comment to keep on egging on the list conversation. That's all. That Mike read that. Mike read that as soon as I said it.
But here's a little bit of the thing though, like filler games and lighter weight games like Cat in the Box, games that go by a little quicker like that. They don't really stick around like heavier games do.
Now you're talking about in tabletop space or just in general?
Tabletop space.
Tabletop space.
Because I was about to say, I was like, you got spades, you got blackjack, like you just got all kinds of like really small, really fast paced games that have stuck around for decades.
The whole idea is, hey, Mike, let's go play some big game. That's how conversations more or less happen in the hobby, where it's not really, hey, let's go play all these light, smaller games continually and play them over and over.
Right.
So
it's Friday night. Let's play some Cat in the Box.
Right. It's in a tricky space. But that's when you have a game like Cat in the Box, or there's another one that Nick, who also went
Scout
with us.
Scout.
Yes.
Yep.
Scout is another one of those small games. When you have games like that, if they can make their stand essentially and show that they have something different and can be a quality game, even though they're a smaller game, they take a lot of the conversation for that genre of small, lightweight, easier to get to the table games. And they kind of overshadow a lot of the other ones that don't get seen a little bit.
I will say this
genre well.
I will say this: out of all the games that we brought back from GenCon, the one I have played the most often has been Cat in the Box.
Same here.
But
I'm sure also because it's easy pick up and play and go, and you can
it is. It's an easy teach, and it's a quick play. It's a fairly quick game. But like I've gotten people that aren't like seriously into board games into this game like that. And after they play that first hand and they realize that, maybe it's not as simple as I thought it was, but I want to figure this out because it's pretty cool. Like that I love watching that kind of light bulb go off over people's heads as they play that first round of Cat in the Box. And I think it's probably going to end up in my top 5 for the year because it's that good of a game. Like the hype, it was well warranted, and it's just a great filler game. It's a great filler game.
But
so
these are the ones
at any given moment that could be my number 1, right? Like
sure, yeah. I mean, these other ones though, Mistwind, flying whales, and all that. Like my imagination's going off, and I'm like, I want to play this just on the idea of flying whales doing stuff. Like it sounds fascinating. So,
well, that's the other thing. Mistwind is still kind of an unknown quantity, right? Like we played an early version of that game. Cat in the Box is.
That's true. It's finished.
It's finished. Yeah. We've got a copy of it. We're playing it a lot. Like we only got that one little tantalizing taste of Mistwind, and yeah, like
that's all you needed.
We want more. I mean, clearly. Right. But yeah, you know.
All right. Well, I guess we won't get an official list here. That's all right. Sky Mines, Mistwind, Cat in the Box, Age of Comics, Harrow County.
We'll have our definitive take on all of this on our best of article, which by the time this episode airs should be up on the site. So keep your eyes peeled for that.
There we go. All right. So I won't get your top 5. That's fine. We can move on from that. What I do want, though, is each of your personal favorite games that you saw during GenCon. It doesn't have to be in the top 5. Can be in the top 5. Whatever you want. Prefer not be in the top 5 because this was your collective, but you saw it. You were like, dear God, this for me, I love this. Let's start with Ellis. What was your personal favorite?
Oh goodness, yeah, this one's obvious.
He's shaking the shoulder. Yeah.
Yeah, Deal with the Devil was the coolest thing that I saw at GenCon personally, like by far. I saw a few things at GenCon that blew me away. Deal with the Devil blew me away several times.
Yeah. I'm with Ellis on this one. Like, if Ellis hadn't picked this as his number 1, I would have picked it for sure. But I'm letting Ellis have it.
Thank you. Yeah, so Deal with the Devil is a Euro style game. It's a really big, complex game, and I don't have to go into the intricacies, but there's a lot of really unique things about this game that I've never seen before. And usually, like games, like when you're looking at a new game, if it does just one thing that you've never seen before, that's really cool. This game does like 4 or 5 things I've never seen before.
That's how I felt about Monopoly when I was like 8. Sorry.
It makes you feel like an 8-year-old child. Yeah, exactly. It made me feel like an 8-year-old child. Really. So, one of the weird things about this game, it's only 4 players.
Yep.
You can't play with any other player count other than exactly 4. And that's because it has this unique hidden role system that ties into the trading. So with Euro games, trading isn't usually a mechanic because it kind of breaks the style of a Euro game. With heavy strategy, if you can just like negotiate well enough, you can use that to kind of like go around the strategy and hey, I'll give you this thing that you think you need but you don't really need because I know the game better than you, and you can give me this thing that I can win the game with, but you don't know that because I know the game better than you. Like, so that's why negotiation isn't really in Euro games. But you can't do that in Deal with the Devil because you don't know who you're trading with. The roles in Deal with the Devil are hidden.
Yeah, so there's four specific roles. You have, let's see, two of the roles are just regular villagers, right?
Yes.
Yes, and then you have the cultists. And then you have the devil. So, so a cultist and a devil. So, the villagers start off with less like money and like tangible goods, but they have pieces of soul, right? They have souls. Cultists, the cultist, he starts off with a little more like tangible goods and money, but he only has half a soul. And so the devil has lots of stuff. Like, they start off with a lot of money, a lot of goods, a lot of things that the other players need, but he has no souls, and he wants to buy souls because he's the devil. And so yeah, I'll let Ellis explain the hidden role. It's just a great mechanic.
Yeah. So the way that the trading works in this game is the. Oh, do we need to take care of with your laptop?
Nothing we can do.
No, okay.
We just got to wrap this up soon.
Okay. Yeah. So the way trading works is players will kind of put their offer into this little door and then like slide it shut, and then they'll mix it up. And so you don't know like whose is whose until you open it and see, okay, so this offer is from the devil, but you don't know who the devil was. And then you can accept or deny that trade. And and that's just one of like several mechanisms around this game. So the reason why souls are important is after a few rounds, the Spanish Inquisition will come, and they'll demand to see everyone's soul.
No one expects the Spanish Inquisition. No one.
And if you don't have a soul, then you'll be severely punished. And if you get punished like enough, if you've been naughty enough, then like as a player, you'll get your own personal Inquisitor, which is hilarious. And the art for these guys, the art for this whole game is just amazing. It has so much character. And the Inquisitors all look just like grumpy and pretentious, like just exactly how you would like imagine like someone who flays people for a living.
No, it's great. It looks fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a great preview of it up on the site. It's definitely one we're going to try to get our hands on as soon as as soon as we can, as soon as CGE can send it to us, because it's just Alice and I saw it and we both just looked at each other right after we got the demo, and we both just kind of nodded, and I pulled out an award.
Yeah.
Like it was a no-brainer. It was a no-brainer. It was super, super exciting.
I was sold when I first saw the cover of the box.
Yeah, the cover is awesome. The cover is awesome.
I gotta look this up. All right, Mike, tell us what your favorite game was, since your laptop is probably gonna die.
Actually, Rob. Get Rob. His laptop is about to die.
Oh, Rob's laptop is about to die.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Well, Rob, what's your game?
Well, I guess that's Twilight Inscription, man. I don't remember if we talked about Twilight Inscription at all in the last episode, but there's a category of games out there called 4X, and essentially what a 4X game is takes like it's like 4 separate games that they put into one. And that's why they label it 4X, because you're doing so many different things in one game.
Mm-hmm.
There's a 4X game out there called Twilight Imperium. It's one of probably the more well-known
beast. It's a beast of a game.
And yeah, it's an absolute beast. Games of that can take anywhere from 8 to 12 hours, maybe longer. People typically schedule gaming sessions of it. And so one of my biggest problems with Twilight Imperium was it's one of those games where a few players could run away with the game, and then a couple of the other players are kind of sitting there, hey, I'm not really in this. Why I'm not really having.
Oh, I think his laptop died.
I'm trying to ramp up my other laptop. It's out of juice. Let me see what I can do.
He wants to talk like a man, like his laptop was about to die. He's going into 4X and
yeah, I know.
I was like, oh boy, we're gonna be here for a while.
Yeah.
Talk about the subtleties and differences of 4X. So, Ellis, go ahead, and while we figure that out for Rob, go ahead and tell us. Actually, before you do that, Mike, you might be able to just, I don't know if you have a way to do it, but maybe he could just get on your screen and, I don't know if you have an extra pair of headphones or something.
I've got another laptop that I'm powering up. So
whatever is easiest for you. All right, Ellis, hit us with your favorite game. Oh no, I'm sorry.
He already
that would
did.
be Mike.
Yeah. You know what? Let me just give me 4 minutes.
All right, we're actually going to take a break, and then we're gonna get Rob back. All right, we're back. We got Rob back. He is here. His laptop died, so we were talking about we got lost in 4X. So what was? let's start over. What was your favorite game at GenCon?
We were talking Twilight Imperium / Twilight Inscription. Twilight Inscription is the game. It's based off of Twilight Imperium. Twilight Imperium, like we were talking about, is that 4X game. It essentially is 4 different games that you're playing in one full gaming session as a whole game. Now, Twilight Imperium has a reputation for being really long games. 6, 8, 12-hour game sessions are not uncommon with Twilight Imperium. And then the biggest issues with those are some people, some gamers while you're playing, in your groups that you're playing with can run away with the game, be way out in front of the other players, and so some players are just sitting there like, what am I doing? I'm just watching the rest of this game.
Grab a bag of chips and just watch.
Yeah, it starts to become a little stale, a little boring in a way, and some people can find it less fun, and it just takes a whole gaming experience, and for me it kind of just flushes it down the toilet in a way. Like, why do I want to go do that and have fun with all this different time that I'm spending?
So what makes Twilight Inscription so special?
Twilight Inscription takes everything about Twilight Imperium, turns it into a roll and write game. Roll and write is a genre of game where you the most basic concept of it is you have a pad of paper and some dice. You roll the dice. The dice instruct you how to play, essentially. And
that's Yahtzee.
Yeah,
Yahtzee's the original roll and write.
Yahtzee is the original roll and write. So, it tells you how to play. Everybody can play most roll and write simultaneously. And so it keeps play times down. Everybody can still play and be in it, and you don't know who's actually a front runner right off the bat like you would in Twilight Imperium. It's still got the same theme, same factions,
lore.
Same lore. It's built in the same universe. About the only thing you don't get with Twilight Inscription that Twilight Imperium would still have over it is Twilight Imperium has all of these sweet little plastic spaceships and whatnot that you're moving around its modular board. Aside from that, Twilight Inscription has these sweet boards. Each player gets 4 of them. Plays up to 8 players still, like Twilight Imperium. And these boards are use chalk markers to pretty much like dry erase. So the boards are like a darker blue, darker color, to go along with that space theme. And they use these really cool fluorescent chalk markers to play through the game everybody gets one, and it's amazing. The dice are amazing. The simultaneous play keeps everybody involved and interested. And like I said, it cuts down that time from, 12-hour game, maybe 4-hour game now tops. And you can have more people come play. You don't have to understand all of the more complex intricacies of Twilight Imperium. It's just a more fun experience, in my opinion, than Twilight Imperium can be. And it doesn't alienate or push anyone away for not being good at the game.
That's good.
It's inviting.
Yeah, so a good way to think of Twilight Imperium is that Twilight Imperium, it's gone through 4 editions now, I think. It is one of the biggest, longest, beefiest beasts of a game. It's totally unforgiving. If you don't know what you're doing, you're kind of you're kind of screwed from the beginning, and it's a long game, so you're going to be kind of screwed for hours. And it's a tough game to get to the table. Twilight Inscription takes the essence of that game and condenses it down into a very concise form. And I haven't gotten to play it yet, but everything I've heard about it has been that it translates that theme quite well, and is looks like it's going to be a big hit.
Yeah, sounds like it's efficient and more accessible.
Yeah.
Sounds fantastic.
I'm kind of looking forward to play it myself because I haven't played Twilight Imperium yet. It's one of those games that I'm like, I'd really like to play it one day, but I'm not sure I want to spend like over $100 for the base game and then like another $100 for an expansion. It's like the first expansion that's like, $100. It's a big game. It's a beast.
You're lucky if you get it to the table once a year.
Yeah. I know people that go to conventions, like the BGG-Con in Dallas. I know one of our former writers, Nick Sverko. He would go there every fall just to meet up with people and play Twilight Imperium. He would spend the entire weekend playing Twilight Imperium. The promise behind Twilight Inscription is very alluring. I guess is the best way I can put it.
And here I am thinking at 7 years old, I'm thinking 2 hours of Monopoly is really long.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Well, but that feeling of futility is there. You still have that feeling of futility.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, no, I'm curious to see, because I want to play Twilight Inscription soon. We just got a review copy, literally just arrived today. And I can't wait to kind of play it, fresh, without the experience of Twilight Imperium. Did I say Twilight Imperium last time? Inscription. Yeah. So I want to see what happens with when someone plays Twilight Inscription first and then plays Twilight Imperium. I'll let you know.
All right. So Mike, did we get your? I've forgotten. Did we get your?
No,
best
we
game?
haven't. We haven't.
All right.
So like,
I think his is Monopoly.
No, it's not Monopoly.
The Mario edition.
Yeah.
Oh no, the Fortnite edition. Sorry.
Oh,
yeah.
My bad.
At least make it the Star Wars edition, because that's the one copy I actually have.
That's not how trolling works, Mike. Don't act that old.
No.
Gosh.
So like I could cop out and just say what Ellis said about Deal with the Devil, but I'm not going to. I'm going to take this opportunity to bring up a game that only I saw out of this group. And I thought it was really cool. I didn't get to play it, but it was one of the most interesting concepts with the most potential that I think I saw the whole con. And that was at AEG. They had a little press event, and they were showing off a few of the games. And one of those games was Let's Go to Tokyo. Now, this is basically what happened was a couple of years ago, the designer of this game, whose name eludes me, and I tried to look it up, and there's literally nothing online about this game yet, hardly at all.
You just saved me 5 seconds.
Yes, let me see if I can go to Board Game Geek.
I'll look it up while you talk about it.
Okay. Go to. Oh no, it's Let's Go to Japan. I had the name wrong. I'm a fool. I'm glad I looked that up. Yes, so it's called Let's Go to Japan. Basically, the designer, Josh Wood, he and his wife were about to go on a trip to Japan when the pandemic hit. And basically, no one was going to Japan. Everybody was staying home. And so he made a game about planning their trip to Japan. And so this is why I got it mixed up, because the game is you're bouncing between Tokyo and Kyoto, and you're trying to hit all of the attractions and must-see tourist spots, and catching local flavor, local food, that sort of thing. It comes with 160 cards drawn by Japanese-based artists, and you'll basically go through these cards as you're trying to strategically place them in your itinerary. There's you draw activity cards. These cards can, like, you have to be conscious of when you go from Tokyo to Kyoto and back. You want to try to, like, group cards in your itinerary in the same place, because it costs you more to, like, take transportation back and forth to each of them. You're trying to, like, meet victory conditions by getting going to certain kinds of places. Like, you can get victory points for going to, like, all these different shrines, for instance. And basically you're just trying to collect the most points over the course of, like, 13 rounds, I think. And then you ultimately go on your planned trip. The super cool thing about this game is that every place on that card exists. These are actual places you can go to in Japan. And you could literally, like, take the itinerary that you come up with at the end of the game and use that in a real trip. Like, I think it's a fantastic idea, not just for Tokyo, but for, like, Paris, or there's so many different applications you could
in this case
use.
Japan, so
just to travel.
France. Yeah.
And you're learning about the location because there's little flavor text and factoids about each location on the cards. And it just, like the thought that occurred to me would be, like, all right, what if you could take a picture of your final itinerary of the game on your phone, and then an app immediately made it a travel itinerary for you? Like, how cool would that be? Like, I came up with this itinerary by playing a game.
Putting travel agents out of business.
Yeah, right? Or, maybe the travel agents start using the game. I don't know. Like, there's so many applications, right? But I thought it was a super cool idea, and I'm looking forward to it. It was a very early prototype that we saw. I don't even think there was enough playable pieces. It was just kind of show off what was there. And it's coming out in 2023, but I'm kind of keeping my eyes peeled for that. It looks fun, and it looks like educational. Like, it looks like something with practical use.
So this looks like a game my wife would enjoy, because she loves planning trips. And so I feel like she would love, like, the idea of trying to figure all this stuff out, the pricing and, fuel economy and, whatever, I don't know, whatever else is going into it. But I feel like she would have a fantastic how long it takes. I don't know if they have an option where you can walk, where you could take public transportation, you could take the train, if they got that sort of scenarios and stuff that you can draw and plan out.
Yeah. Well, the whole point of the game is
fun.
You're optimizing a trip.
Yeah,
you're trying to figure out how to balance your resources to maximize the amount of places and the kind of activities that you go on. It's super cool.
Sounds fantastic.
It's one of the hilarious things about board games is that there's a board game for, like, the most boring topics, like, planning a trip, and someone's like, oh, dude, what? Like, it was a board game for, like, logistics, administration, and people are like, oh my god, you harvest wheat? Wow.
Yeah, right.
Well, I mean, if you think about it in the video game space, I mean, some of the most popular games are the sim games, Goat Simulator and Farming Simulator and Gas Station Simulator and all the other ones out there. Surgeon Simulator.
Right.
Yeah, it's kind of the same thing. Yeah.
So yeah, you just take something that seems extremely mundane or takes, hundreds of thousands of dollars to be actually good at and, turn it into something that you can just play for an hour or two and just have a goofball of a time with it.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's a lot of the historical themes are cool too, because like you're actually learning about what happened at a very specific thing.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of tabletop gaming kind of got started that way as being like simulations of like World War II battles and that sort of thing. So super cool stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Basically, like think about like strategy games on PC, right?
Yeah.
Those started
Civilization.
off as board games.
Yeah, for sure.
Those were board games, basically.
Yeah.
And so like a lot of them, like especially like the military simulation games, like even Call of Duty, like is
it's earliest
Call of Duty.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Was like this is something that happened in history.
Mm-hmm.
So super cool.
Yeah. So that is their top 5 and their personal top 3, and you'll be able to find all of these games plus more in the best of article, where they're going to list everything that they liked, from board games to food trucks.
Yeah.
They're going to have all kinds of stuff that they found the best of at GenCon. Mike, give us a tease of something.
Yeah, so we had somewhere over 25. Like I ordered 25 awards, and they magically sent me more. I need to go through the list, and I think it's like 26, 27 best of awards. Obviously, most of them we gave to board games for like various different categories that we came up with after the fact. But yes, we have. Oh my god. Okay. We have everything from best new tech in tabletop gaming, which we awarded to the last game board. We've got a lovely video up on YouTube about that right now. Best gaming terrain, which we gave an award to Dwarven Forge for that. I believe they're our first third-time winner.
Oh.
And yeah, best food truck. I think it was Dan's Kitchen.
Yeah.
I made the mistake of buying a slice of pizza with tater tots on it, and Ellis and Nick got this amazing Cajun food from this nondescript food truck that I think it was like one of the only options that had vegan food, right? If I'm correct.
Yeah, they had vegan rice and beans and cornbread. I was very happy.
Yeah. And then of course Nick kind of went crazy for them because it had been a while since he had a good po' boy.
He's a po' boy.
He's a po' boy.
Hey, a good po' boy is a good thing to eat.
Yeah. No, if they're next year, I'm definitely going instead of waiting in that pizza line. Yeah, no, we've got lots of great stuff that's going to be on that. That should be publishing soon. Actually, it should be published by the time you see this. So.
Sounds great. So that will be the best of GenCon. Lots of stuff to read and check out there. Obviously, mostly board game related. So that's it for us for this podcast. Appreciate you watching. Appreciate you listening. You could hang out with us on our Discord and talk more board games. They are still posting stuff all the time about still going with GenCon, all the cool stuff that's happening.
Actually, up in our top nav, we now have a GenCon link that you can hit and just go straight to that GenCon coverage if you want.
There you go. So you can do that. And of course, you can subscribe. You can you can do all that stuff that we've been doing on YouTube for decades at this point. Can you believe I just said that? Holy frick. I just said YouTube and decades in the same sentence. Frick! We're getting old.
Yeah, we haven't been doing it for decades on YouTube. Actually, we have.
Not us,
Yeah.
but YouTube has. I know I have. God. That's Mike Dunn. That's Rob Berg. And that is Ellis Zimmerman. Appreciate you watching and listening. We'll talk to you later.